probably go over that side a little bit more. And then now he's clear from the mast. Where he's standing, there's a better angle towards the pulley. If he's just standing in the middle, like, it's just something that's like a bit of an oversight and not many people think about is it's just rubbing on the top of the mast, and that's just less wear on our mast and our gear. So as long as you always look up and you try your best to stand where the line is just not obstructed. Okay, now easing out all together, hand over hand, and we never let the line slide through our hands. So just slowly easing it out. Fully line's loose. Yep, let it go, keep going. Keep going. Keep it going. All the way out. So now all the weight is off our lines and all the weight should be on the top of the sail. Noho, if you were to pull your line, see how that cuts into the sail? So Tika, you can just give her 3 wraps on that top cleat, bro. When we're sailing, we always want to make sure our lines, especially our tricing lines, are loose as, because they're not doing anything once you're sailing. You got a big curve, you got a big billow of the sail. You never want to kind of cut the sail like that. The sail is the engine of the canoe, so there's no point in trying to like obstruct it. So if you let that go, noho, you see how it's instantly nice shape in the sail. You always want a nice good shape in the sail. At the moment we've got this shroud in the way. If we wanted a really nice shape in that sail, we're going to lift that up and put it outside that shroud so it's still got nice clean. So you're always wanting to look for nice clean shapes in your sails, always. You don't want any obstruction in those sails. One good tip for doing that is you don't pull this nice and tight and lock this off. We always pull about a foot out and then lock it off. And then no matter when you tack over either side, it's going to have enough slack in it. If you notice that there's not enough slack, you may have to go and change that again. But again, we try to put about that much slack in it, and then you're going to lock off your line and then hang the rest of it. And that's only obviously when you're underway and you're sailing. Pull it all nice and tight when we go to close it off though. Now that we're right fully open, say if I was to tie this even harder down, we're going to have that clearance won't be there. That clearance on the track is just not too bad with this new sail, but lots of our sails we've got like quite a big rub mark in the bottom of our sail, just from the corner of that track. It's just one small thing that you should check when the sail is fully open, just to make sure it's sitting nice and clear. But at the same time, you never want this to happen. See how the pressure's starting to tighten up here? If I don't tie this knot, or I don't tie that clue low enough in here, this gap's starting to increase, and this doesn't obviously increase the size of the sail, doesn't. So there's lots of pressure in the bottom of the sail now. You don't even want that pressure there. No, do you want to just lift our yoke up, bro? It really helps to have a noho around.
Take it on.
But straight away, that's probably the highest I ever want to be away from the yoke. It's still got enough curve in there, lots of weight is on the top of the sail, but as long as it's always curved, and if you can do this and the sail moves, kei te pai, but if you go do this and it's like straight line between here and there, there's way too much pressure in the bottom of the sail. Same again, even though we're a lot higher here now, there's still no pressure on this bridle. One test you should always do is every time you're sailing, check that there's no pressure here, ever. Otherwise, same again, it's really easy thing to see what happens, and we've broken quite a fair few over the years, so that's the whole kind of basic setup of the sail. As best you can, you want to get it nice and tight on that outhaul. It's gone a little loose since I untied this, but you want nice tight on that bottom or that outhaul, and then start pulling up. You can't get it really tight, because all you can only get is all the weight off of that bridle. If you had like a downhauling line to be able to pull it down and like tighten and stretch it out, then you could get heaps of pressure on that. But for now, it's just all the weight of the boom and the sail is what keeps that leading edge, that luff, nice and tight. And that's your basics of being able to set it up, and then that's why you open it up to actually sight this space, making sure that this isn't tight, and then everything's pretty set. We'll go and undo the sheets, and then we can close it up. Ready? So again, we're all lining up, making sure our lines are nice and clear. Working together always. And then we get to this last point, and then that's why we'll always get to the point of like hand over hand, and then that's when you're just always still slowly all together pulling like this, because you don't want to go tahirua toru, and then just smash, because that's when you get a little bit of danger of breaking parts of the tracks. And I have had to replace the whole bottom of our track once because it come in smashed right into here, and it cracked the actual track and the sliding track, and then that's obviously not what we want to do. And another good point is, as you can see on this boom, the tricings perfectly match where the rings are. So we're pulling right in. It's not going to be the boom higher than where the tricing ring is, and then you're going to kind of come all the way up, and then it's trying to pull it down or pull it up if it's mismatched. Right there, it's really perfectly lined up, which is really good. And now we can lock it off. It's really good on the mizzen, because fellas that aren't really tall, you can obviously use this, which is good. And then another thing that's going to be a little unnerving for people is just, especially for new ones, just let them know that this is okay. This gap is okay. Because lots of people are going to think, oh shit, that gap is thing. I need to push that in and tighten this bridle up. If I come in here, I tighten this bridle up when the boom is hard up against. Obviously what's going to happen when it comes out, that gap is going to increase, and it's going to put shitloads of pressure, that amount of pressure. So you want to make sure you always pull it in, and then just don't, make sure that not everyone's freaked out about this gap, because it's okay. There's no weight on it, there's nothing going to happen. She's all sweet. Only thing is, if you're sailing in and you're like you're coming in towards the wind and the sails are going to start flapping around, this is going to want to jump around. In that situation, if a captain asks you to tie it hard up against the mast, use a separate line, don't use that bridle. It's like, while it's flapping around, again, you don't want to have passengers kind of wiggling out and saying, oh, these fellas are a little bit slack. Get a nice short line, and you may want to just put a bowline in one side, and then you might want to just go around and then just putting a slippery half hitch in there, and it's nice and easy to undo as well. A lot of people will just use a sail tie. Nice and tight, and then as you're sailing in, even if the sail bounces around, this isn't going to bounce around, and if I'm a passenger sitting here first time on a waka and that starts flying around on me, I'm probably going to be like, oh, stuff this. So just, that's maybe another good potential to do. And again, sail ties might be one. Just grabbing one of these is probably your best bet there. Just to take up a little bit of extra bit of the line. I'm going to double it around. And again, you want it to be like that, because if you're sailing out and say just in the instance you go to open the sail and you've forgotten that that's on and it starts kind of cranking out, at least you can quickly just pop it, and it's not like a hard knot to be able to undo. It's just going to be easily done. If it's happening too and you're like, oh shit, bloody hell, we're trying to open the sail and this is on. If you start noticing things that you've forgotten, don't actually voice it in front of people. Just say, oh, TK, somebody's on. Don't go, oh shit, hang on. Just take it easy and make sure if there's anything goes wrong on the waka, it didn't actually go wrong, part of the plan all the time. Especially if we've got any paying guests on board. Crew, kei te pai, you can be like, oh, hold up, whānau,